Hello from Life Fitness Management. This is Greg with another Greg. We've been talking a little bit here, Greg and I, over the years. The one person in this facility that's been coaching longer than me is Greg Ortman, the golf pro here at Life Fitness Management in the swing lab. And I wanted to bring him in today and talk to him a little bit about some of the parallels in his coaching of golf in comparison to our coaching of life and fitness. So, Greg, give us a little bit of an idea how long you've been doing this and with whom.
Well, where do we want to start?
Mm-hmm.
Let's start about 1990 when I was playing professionally for a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Somerset area, very nearby.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out that it wasn't going to make it out there. And fortunately for me, I got invited to be the teaching professional at the Woodlands Golf Academy at Nemacolin and Woodlands in 1990. Now, I hadn't taught golf very much other than here's how I do it.
Right.
You know, I'm focusing on playing.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought they hired me to fund me to go play, but it was opposite. So, yeah, and then all of a sudden I found I had a knack for it.
Okay, so that was the first teaching.
Yeah, 1990.
Okay.
So that was my first teaching.
So that's 34 years ago.
34 years.
Ago.
But before that, even in college golf, we on the golf team had to coach college, what was golf and bowling class.
Right.
No bowling for me, but golf class. So I was doing something like it. Never got into it. I was more absorbed into me playing. And then I found out that there were people out there that really needed help in golf because, as we say, common sense and golf sense doesn't mix.
Mm-hmm.
And as I continued to grow in my teaching, I kept moving on and on. Finally, around the turn of the century, I decided, I better do something with this.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to attack a PhD
degree
to help my teaching because I felt like students weren't really leaving with the progress I was hoping they would get.
Okay.
I'm the professional at Greenleaf in Florida. I'm teaching 4 or 5 different PGA professionals at a time. I'm teaching blind people that come in, and one of the greatest stories I have is people. I learn more in that day than I have in my entire life working with people who have eyes in their fingers.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, I just said, you know what, this is what I want to do. So I went from being a 90% player, a 10% teacher, to a 10% teacher, 90% player.
Mm-hmm.
And over that period of time, I've watched how people gravitate to golf and realize this is just not as easy as it looks on television.
Yeah.
So what happens is they lose interest because I didn't or wasn't at the time communicating to them that it's not your fault. Our brain, and you and I talk about this a lot.
Right.
We talk about the brain and the associative patterns we have between the body-mind or the mind-body, however you want to say it. There's associative things that happen in the brain that all of a sudden it involves. A perfect example is last night. My wife was saying how this certain scent reminded her of her grandmother in a certain. And I said, that's exactly what Greg and I were talking about yesterday.
Exactly, right.
Is those things happen. And I think sometimes what happens with a lot of people when they come to a golf lesson, sometimes they're not getting that feeling that they should be there, that feeling they're associating fun with it.
What usually brings them to a golf lesson? My knowledge of that would say they want to play better.
And by playing better, they want to be able to smile and not be frustrated. In golf's a frustrating game because, once again, I keep repeating this to my students all the time. Common sense and golf sense don't mix.
Right.
We are completely not geared for this game.
All right. So give me
Yes.
an example of why or what you mean by golf sense and common sense.
It's pretty simple. Everybody thinks they should hit the ball.
Okay.
We do not hit the ball. Everybody thinks we should keep our eye on the ball. Oh, remember the blind people I just talked about? They hit the ball. And during the lesson, they were picking the golf ball and putting it on the tee by the end of the lesson. They had, and all of a sudden they're getting up and hitting it. I learned from that, you don't have to keep, obviously, nothing, and I think it's wonderful. It was wonderful. They didn't have to see it. But they were hitting it, no problem, getting up in the air. It wasn't a problem. I started thinking about that. What am I missing? And then I started looking into that. That is common sense. Says I have to keep my eye on the ball, I have to keep my left arm straight. None of that stuff applies.
Mm-hmm.
And so people get wrapped up in what's called the minutia of movement,
Right.
as opposed to letting it flow, and we don't have to get too deep, and that's for another conversation.
Well, you bring that up, and again, I would like to dig deeper into that, but I think sometimes that goes over and above where the people that may be listening to us talk
Yes.
are right now, because
Yes.
we deal with something very similar.
Mm-hmm.
People come to the gym to lose weight, and losing weight doesn't happen in the gym. Their perception is, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to exercise, and I'm going to lose weight. And they may do it 3-4 hours a week if they're doing really well. But that leaves 162 hours of a week that they're not with me in the gym, and that's where weight loss happens. And so they're motivated to come to the gym to lose weight, but when they recognize that weight loss doesn't necessarily happen in the gym, that motivation goes away.
Sure.
And then how me as a coach, you as a golf coach, when you try to explain to people that they just need to watch, it's not just seeing the ball that creates a good shot. There's a lot of things that go into that. It's not just coming to the gym that's going to make you healthy, going to make you more fit, going to make you lose weight. There's a lot more things involved in that. And coaching people after that becomes very difficult. I think it becomes more difficult.
Right. Now that leads me up into a really good point, and that we did a video on this about the muscle memory line. You don't want to get too deep.
Right.
However, that brings up the point where people don't realize how long it takes to change a pattern.
Correct.
It's more than change. It's more of a change of a pattern or a habit or something. We are so associative. Our brains are associative. We don't have any muscle, don't have memory, and all that other stuff. So what happens is they come to the golf lesson with a cup full of golf, or we'll call it common sense, golf knowledge, and they are so full I can't fill their cup up. So my job in terms of education, a duco means to lead out, not to put in. Right. So I need to pour some of that out before I can put anything in. And what happens is we are so clinging into that cup. That's our cup. You don't take anything out of my cup. And now all of a sudden they lose that motivation because they walk out of here and they don't think we refilled their cup.
Well, they know less in their mind. They know less now than they did when they come in. And that becomes difficult for people to understand because the same reason they came to the pro to learn, they want to learn more than add on to what they've already learned, but nobody really wants to take away what they've learned, even if it's bad.
The interesting thing, the point you bring up there, Greg, is it really draws me into a new realm here, is we're trying to simplify things.
Correct.
Because they've walked in very complex they've walked in with the soup.
Right. Yeah.
Now we're going to taste that soup and go, here are the ingredients you do not need. This is not what you need in it. So we have to take some of the ingredients out, and now the soup tastes a little bland to them now. Because it doesn't have the salt, whatever it might have, that they thought it needed.
Right.
We're taking that out, so they have a bad taste in their mouth because they leave and say, well, my soup doesn't taste the same. It's simpler to make. It's healthier, I know that, and I know it, I felt it, but I really don't know. And I think that's what happens.
Yeah,
maybe.
I think it's really important for people that are listening to us to understand one of the reasons why we wanted to have this conversation is the perception or the predetermined of what's going to happen when you come to a coach for fitness, a coach for nutrition, a coach for golf. What's going to happen there? And what's going to happen there is you're going to get better. You and I talked about this. If you have a problem with your finances, you go to a financial advisor. And he's going to tell you to do certain things, and they're probably going to be different than what you're doing now.
That's why you need an advisor.
And you're hoping that's why you came to the advisor.
Right.
If you go to a mechanic for your car, he's going to fix what's wrong with your car. He's going to take out the bad parts, put better parts in, and he's going to fix the problem. But what we find, you and I, and we kind of laugh about this, and one of the things we wanted to have a conversation for is I think it's important to educate people, to make them understand out there that when you come to a coach, there may be things that we're going to take away that you believe are beneficial to you. But from the trees to the forest view of somebody that's watched thousands, right? You're over many thousands of people. I've coached many thousands of people in reference to two different things, but still coaching.
Right.
How do we talk to people, explain to them what we see, explain to them what we're trying to take away so that we can add something else that may be more effective or maybe meshes better with what they know, or maybe they don't know the full story of what it is that they're trying to accomplish. And I think it's important. I think it's a great parallel. It's a really good conversation for educating somebody out there that's getting ready to pay money to come see. And we both realize it's not cheap to come see me. It's not cheap to come see Greg. But we've spent a lot of time on giving and acquiring the knowledge that we believe creates value. And just like your financial advisor, you would want them to make those changes. You know, we want you to make those changes when you come to us.
Right.
And you want to somebody to succeed. Because I don't know about you, Greg, and you can dive into this a little bit more, and you've talked about it a little bit, but you changed from a 90% player to a 90% teacher because of something.
Right.
You enjoyed playing, but you enjoyed teaching far more.
Sure.
I enjoyed coaching and helping people with their exercise far more than I enjoyed the exercise myself. And I learned that very early on. And what I find constantly struggling to do is come up with better ways of which to help people. And I guess to kind of wrap up a conversation that you and I are talking about, there's a lot of things that happen when you come in for a lesson or a coaching session, lots of things. And what we want to make sure everybody out there is aware of, that when you come in, you have to have an open mind to what you're going to receive.
Sure.
But I also believe you have to have an open mind to what we may take away.
Right. And what I've found over the years, probably 40,000 hours, Greg, of teaching in groups and clinics and all this. It's over the years. And what I've found is that preconceived notion that someone walks in, it's like them. We are not trying to steal anything of them. We're trying to enhance. We have enough experience to know how to enhance their strengths.
Right.
See, I believe in enhancing strengths as much as you can. Then the other side, say the weaknesses, they have to catch up.
Yeah, correct.
You know, I like to show people why. I'm a why guy.
Right.
Not a wise guy, if any means, just a why guy.
Right.
I'm a why guy. So what happens is I believe if you know why, it's easier to figure out how. I can't tell somebody, Greg, how to do something.
Right.
You know, people come in and say, fix me. I can't fix you. It's not me fixing you. It's me coming in and saying, okay, here's how we're going to do this, and here's why we're going to do this. And then the student goes, well, that makes sense. And their brain will figure out how to make that happen. I can't get inside their brain. People learn 4 different ways. And so that's how I like to look at it. If the people out there understand that we're not going to tell them what to do.
Correct.
We're going to explain why this enhances their vision or goal of where they want to go.
And what they're doing.
And what they're doing.
So many people come in and they think that we're going to take the whiteboard that they have and we're going to erase it.
Erase it all.
And we're going to fill it full of things that we are going to, whether it be right or wrong, we're going to fill it with things that are going to make them successful.
Right.
And what we know is that absolutely will not be successful.
That will not work.
So, but what we can do is we can erase, add a few words, put in a couple, punctuation fixes here, there, and everywhere, and pretty soon we have a whiteboard full of whatever may help you get where you need to go, which would be different than somebody else walking in. And in fitness, it's the same thing. It takes some time and effort. And people come in with a great deal of motivation to learn. People come in to get a great deal of motivation to get better, to get more fit, to get healthier. And sometimes that takes longer than what they think it will. Right? It takes a little longer than, and in that time frame, the motivation wanes. Mm-hmm. And, our job as coaches is to keep them motivated forward, explain to them what's going on and how they're improving, or how we're going to make them improve so they can get that vision. Right. And then at the end of the day, the discipline that they have to continue to do the things that we've learned without chasing after the next YouTube video or the next shiny golf driver or the next, and you and I we could go on and on forever about those things. Yeah. And I don't want to do that in this video, maybe a different video. But the main thing I wanted to get into today was whenever you're looking to be coached and you come to a facility like this one to be coached, we're 100% on board to coach you and make you better, make you be better, whether it be in golf or whether it be in fitness. And we're going to meet you where you are. We're going to find out what it is that's on your whiteboard, so to speak.
Can I interject?
Absolutely.
It's like a game of Scrabble, everybody out there. If you ever played it, it's where you get a bunch of words or, say, characters or alphabet. We take all of those jumbled up and we make sentences out of them for you to understand.
Correct.
As opposed to being all jumbled around and you're reaching around and trying to find something. We'll take what you have and we'll make a sentence out of it for you to understand.
Yes. And because most of the people we work with know what they're supposed to do, or at least a variation of what they're supposed to do.
Absolutely.
And our job as coaches is to put it into a sentence form that you can understand, duplicate, and then supply with the motivation and the discipline to continue to do those things long term, which will make you a healthier individual and also make you a better golfer, whether you're coming to Greg as a golf coach or me as a fitness professional or a life fitness coach, so to speak. That's what you're coming in for and that's what you're looking for. I wanted to give a little bit of time with Greg today. We're going to talk a little bit more in the future, go into some of the other things that we talked about. But most importantly, you have to understand, as a coach, our job is to pass knowledge on to you that's going to be effective to you. And how we go about doing that, I think, is important to talk to people about.
And one last thing before we go. We can only inspire, you motivate.
Correct. Well, that's all from here. Have a great day.
See you next time.